Hello, family and friends. This video is being made for someone very near and dear to me, AAU. AAU is 18. She's going to college, and I don't believe she's involved in a deep relationship with a member of the opposite sex. I could be wrong. But this video is to give some guidance in what you might look for in a man out there, because the terrain has a lot of variety out there. I have told her in the past that men value respect over love, and that's not true for women, but that may explain some of the times when men become misread women and lead to things like stalking and stuff like that. They think an act of kindness or respect is love, and it's not, and all the problems that come with it. Now, I was listening to a discussion by Dr. Hyla Cass, who's a medical psychiatrist, who was asked the question about ADD, attention deficit disorder, which is 4 times more prominent in boys, thought to be due to testosterone. And if I look away from my notes, the screen, it's because I want to read my notes. It's not a subject that I'm really conversant in, but I have some ideas that might help the one I want to instruct. So, attention deficit disorder can be seen with chronic pain that's thought to be associated with a disorder. Kind of hard to explain. There's a quirkiness, there's social mixing issues. And so what happens when these now usually young men, can be women, go off to college and there you are interfacing and trying to get on with your life? Well, Dr. Cass says that there is a condition called reward deficit syndrome, and it has to do with decreased dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical compound that simulates pleasure, and or produces pleasure in our bodies. Now, we will do things to stimulate dopamine. Facebook knows that when you hit the like button, there's a little bit of dopamine put into your system by you. So on it goes. But what happens if a person has deficit of this dopamine? Well, the 2 reasons. One is they may not have the receptors, or the other reason, the receptors may not be working, and that can be due to things like diet and stuff like that. It's not the point I want to get to. What do these people look like? Well, they're people with behavioral problems. They're a little quirky. They may be impatient. They may be depressed. They may be very moody. This sounds very general, doesn't it? There may be alcoholism in the family, because a lot of times this seems to come down from the parents, the male parent. You see where I'm going with this? So you can do a little history and find they also show socially may not be very adept. Let me just check my notes here. They don't exercise. They seem withdrawn at times. And so you can see these are very, very broad behaviors, but they're going to be hard to change if you have dopamine receptors. People resort to drugs these days for pleasure, and I'm not solely saying it's for dopamine receptor deficit, but it can be an issue. So if you run into a person, you may want to do a little screening to see if there's things like alcoholism, moodiness, spending a lot of time on computers, quirkiness. You want to spend your rest of your life with that person? Maybe you do. I'd say try to see if you can't get someone better. Hate to be brutal in this brutal world, but it's you're the one that's going to suffer if you hook up with something like this. So think about this, how the social, here's some of the things I want to review. There can be alcoholism in the family. These people are seen withdrawn at times, often depressed, quirky, anxious, short-fused, and they may not exercise, spend a lot of time on computers, and you may just want to go somewhere else with your talents. Park your talents in a different ocean. That's what I have to say.